talking to someone else gotten you even further from finding her?
Huh. Okay, that feels smart, but it's coming from you, so...
Yeah, no, I surprised myself there. I'm really just supposed to talk to kids about college, but my point is... Nope, lost.
I think you meant that by refusing to figure out my feelings for Daphne in the beginning. I just made this whole mess with her instead.
That's it. You know, a smart girl like you would be real Smith College material.
Okay, but do I still have to apologize to Daphne? I only read her journal because she said she was too popular for me.
Up to you. Sometimes when you're being attacked, there will be a tourist.
Go limp. You're right.
I was going to say go for the eyes.
So it looks like Fred isn't connected to your mom's disappearance. Good news, right?
No, it's terrible news. It means my big clue is a dead end, and Fred is probably innocent.
Yeah, but isn't it a little rich white guy get wrong? I'm
too distracted to enjoy it. I need to make things right with Daphne. Wait for me, okay? Unless you feel like getting me a snow cone and immediately coming back.
Sure, I don't have anything else scheduled for right now. Oh, crap!
So,
well, 10-minute rule. Norval's not coming. Guess I'll have to channel my childhood trauma into becoming a lawyer and helping my imprisoned brothers appeal their convictions.
No, nobody leaves. Why does everyone think they can stand me up?
I'm literally just watching like the season 3 of Velma on Max right now. I ain't even doing shit. Oh shit, I'm really mad a little bit. Yeah, I got one road ready and another one road. The JK disc will just stop doing the $50 ounces, so this right here is pretty much the last ounce. So, but they're also doing the, the 7 grams for 20, so that's still a good deal, You got a good ounce, and it's a big butt ounce. You can get a big butt ounce for like 80. That's not too bad. So I'm really watching right now, like Velma season 2, and it's all season 3, and it's all about like Velma right now. Like she kissed Daphne on like the season finale of season 2, and now like the first episode. Oh, this episode 3, and yeah, she's basically like talking to Velma, and they're just going in and out about like how they feel about each other and. Are they attracted to each other? Like, are they compatible? Like, this is how I was, like, when I was, like, in, like, 4th grade with the guy. And I didn't even know, and that's why I edited so bad. That's that download mentality. When you're download, you just have this mentality where you're just, like, that's why she was having all this anxiety and shit. Like, it was anxiety attacks and, like, shit like that. Just crazy. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Maybe a friend who fun. No, let's just keep it simple and try and be friends again. Yeah, you're right. I can only obsess over one woman at a time, and right now it has to be Beverly. So should we cook it out?
What we're smoking on right here is the hash burger. It's that hash burger.
Maybe let's just
got a blunt on the blunt roll. There you go.
Two friends sharing a casual handshake.
It's before whip smoke, you know what I'm saying? Like, so. I don't like the fact that she hallucinates in this show. It's really fucking weird. I'm watching Velma season 3. Sorry, season 1, episode 3. My bad. I just put this shit on. I needed something animated. It's the morning time, It's Saturday morning. It's Saturday morning type thing. So, I watch some cartoons and shit. It's just a habit.
Excuse.
Yes, I am. Well, I am not gonna lie. Like, I do have the girls out, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I do have a tank top on. It's not like you just, But it's okay. October's here, so like I had bought a whole bunch of like t-shirts and shit. Buffy the Vampire Slayer t-shirts. The show was pretty interesting, but like at first I didn't like it. Like I fucking hated it. You know, things like that are just so like I don't know. I just grew up in the '90s, Friends. You know what I'm saying? Like you heard that shit. Like I grew up in the fucking '90s where it's like and Lord is down with the commercials. So like I literally grew up in the fucking '90s where like you know like it was like white people did white people shit and black people did black people shit type shit. And so like even when I was growing up, because of the way I grew up like with cable. We had shit. You know, we didn't have shit at first, but when I was like in my prime, you know, when you're like you're a kid enough to like do shit, you're gonna have to know what the fuck is right and wrong, you know, and you're kind of playing with it type shit. But you're also just like, you know, you're like, I'm a fucking kid. You know, you're a kid, so it's like that type of shit. Like I grew up, and since I was a third born, you know, the first born you're like fuck. The second one, you're like, okay, we got it. The third one is like, okay, everything's just set up perfect. You know, it's good, you know. And, you know, from there, it just gets better and better depending on the situation. But, you know, so I grew up basically seeing the transition between my parents, like not having shit and then having shit. Like when I was basically born is when we got the house. That's what they told me. Like we were living in an apartment in the hood, and then like when I was around when I was born, like I was born, and like after like the first 2 years or 3 years, whatever, that's when we moved into a house, and so that's when like we moved to the suburbs and shit. So like I grew up in like the suburbs, you know, around like white people and shit like that. You know, there was more white people in my neighborhood back then, way more white people, and then slowly but surely, you know, they all kind of moved away throughout the years and shit. Some stayed, but like only one I would say stayed. Like one white family stayed, but they're not like even a family or whatever. You know, they're old now. Like their kids are already grown and gone to college, have lives. It's just an old white couple that's still living there. You know, so it's like it's kind of like everybody. There's a lot of minorities and other just like people renters. A lot of people took bought this especially this year. Up a lot of the houses, and we got a lot of renters. People just come in and live there for like a month, 2 months around the neighborhood. Like, it's not too bad though. Like, somebody came in this time actually, they're actually my mom's neighbors and shit, and they fixed the whole. But it's crazy because they're black, and most times you see black people that come in there and so they fuck it up, But they came in, and they like literally refixed the fences. They're refixing the shit out of that hoe. But then, like, they got tired of refixing it because they realized they're fixing the whole fucking house, and then they were like, nah. So they just they left. So who knows what's gonna happen? Like, everything's changing.
So instead, we decided to rent 5 hottest girls in Crystal High School and get
So yeah, a lot of things is I'm just like, what the hell? Like, yeah, it's still life of hell right now. I feel like crazy. Do y'all smoke this thing down? I don't smoke this down anymore. Like I used to smoke it down, like, but I can't even. I mean, it depends. Like I say, like I was broke as shit, and I was like my only blunt. Yeah, I'll smoke that shit down. But nah. So it's also a mixture between this. So I'm smoking on a couple of things, like. So I got that from JK Distro, and I also got this. I want to show y'all because I don't think y'all know. I got 2 of y'all here, so fuck it. This is called Restart CBD or Restart. I don't know. Yeah, Restart. That's what it's called. The brand is called Restart CBD. It's in Austin, Texas. So it's a Texas brand. That's why it came so quick, honestly. And I got a 3.5 grams guava small sativa. So I mixed that a little bit in there too. And also got this shake. It's just shake, it doesn't say, but it's CBD. I think they have Delta 8. I don't know if they have THCA, but Texas. But yeah, they have great CBD. I think the CBD is actually pretty good. When I say great, I would say it's like a little bit above Tweedle Hemp Farms. Not like I mean, I feel like I've never really had two little hemp farms like they're bud, and these are I think they're the smalls. Yeah, guava smalls. Guava smalls. You know what I'm saying? So, they're the guava smalls. They're like the smalls that I had for Tweedle hemp farms is fucking huge. You saw those buds. So those buds are not that big. It's like almost like it's just like it's like popcorn nugs. I mean, it smells good. I ain't gonna lie. Oh, what the fuck's going on? So somebody's trying to hit on Velma if she knows. Do y'all like the blunt on the side that like is supposed to be the mouthpiece? Like when you see a guard, you take it out, like that more rounder side versus that side's more jagged and shit. Like I don't know, I just have like weird little things that I do. Like I like take the jagged side and I break it down. If I'm breaking it down by hand, I go from that side first because it has more paper for me to actually take it and rip it. Versus that shit, sometimes it might be like too soft and you can't like get in there. I don't know, stupid little things. Like sometimes I like to, like I said, I like to like roll it up and then like smoke on that side that you're supposed to have the mouthpiece on. That's how I have a little bit thicker paper and shit. THCA, is THC that is not lit yet. Once you light it, it is THC. Yeah. I stopped taking the hormones for a few, and it was like, I don't know, it's crazy. Like when this coworker came in, this motherfucker was trans. I was like, what the fuck? I should not fucking with it. I was not fucking with it because I was still in my transition, but then I was thinking like this bitch is just bold as fuck here, and with the makeup too, just dolled up. I was like, this bitch don't know or what? Like what the fuck? Like we in the fucking hood, like. I mean, and then like I was sitting there looking like, okay, wait a minute, So give me that, take a little smoke. Off my train of thought, that shit hit so fucking goddamn good. Like, and that's another thing too. Like, I can't smoke like one strain. I gotta smoke like different strains. So even if you do get the 80 ounce, right? You're thinking about it this way: you can get different strains on the 80 ounce. I'm not even trying to advertise. It's just, you know what I'm saying? That'd be insane. I like 4 different strains. You know what I'm saying? You get 4 different strains. I mean, an ounce for 60 is already fucking good. But an ounce for 80? Come on. And I just like the fact that you might get more variety. Just for like $30 more. Let's be honest. And then like Velma's Indian, and then like Daphne, and then Daphne with pink and all that shit, and she's fucking Asian, and she's dark. They went really hard on this shit. And then you got fucking I don't even know what the fuck this motherfucker is. Goddamn Shaggy, and I think he's black, but like his dad's white as fuck, like blonde hair, blue eyed. Like I don't even understand that shit. It's so weird. But then I started taking it back again right now for like the past few days or whatnot. Probably the past week. I've been taking the periphery of Marifrica again. I'm kind of predicting a lot of things. I don't want to put things into fruition, but I do want to like clear the air with that. Like I really have plans now, and spiritually, and I feel like we're not in this case anymore. Psychics have told me and other things that like psychics I trust and whatnot. Like it is that time where it's just like some Dragon Ball Z shit. People, they show like people's like muscles and shit. Like they have no muscles and it just like becomes muscles and shit. The Dragon Ball Z shit, Super Saiyan shit. Yeah, advertising the gym. Anyways.
Developed with dermatologists. Derm correction eye cream.
So
A dual action breakthrough designed to lift the upper
I realize all these things, like I'm just more like serious with myself now, like, and it's okay. Sometimes I feel like it's okay to go off hormones if you really have to, because the mental, you know, because seeing her shock the fuck out of me, and it's not gonna happen to my transphobia, but I do. I had to go through all that,
retinol expert.
and it was not just that; it was a lot of shit. I had to go through a whole like, I don't know what to call it, like transformation of myself. And it was so like deep because when you're a guy, you go hard on the physical, you try to be like tough and shit. But I'm like, it's not about that shit. It's about some internal shit, toughness, and it's like so different. So basically, in so many words, I had to realize like I was raised as a guy, right? But like even when I thought about it myself in my life, I was never sexual in my teenage years. Like in the prime teenage years, you're talking about like, you know, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th grade, 11th grade. You get what I'm saying? Like, no fucking sexual contact. And that's like the prime of sexual fucking like, oh, I'm getting horny, like this person's hot like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like the prime of that shit. And I realized it's not even about sex, it's just about like the pursuit of it, or even like, you know what I'm saying, to be sexy or whatever the fuck, you know? And so that's when I realized like what was me, like, you know. And then I started realizing, well, I didn't even act like a straight guy or whatever you want to call it, or a regular guy or whatever the fuck, you know. It's like you act like, and I realized you act like a fucking repressor of something. It doesn't matter what it is, it just seems like you're repressing, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like when you unleash yourself as an adult, because you have this exploration now, you're not a kid anymore, you can have sex any way you want to. You can sexually explore any way you want to. It doesn't fucking matter. You can explore your gender expression between male, female, or non-binary. You can do whatever you want to fucking do. You know, you're an adult. And so it's like, when you awake to who you are now, and you just think about it in retrospect back when you were younger, and you realize, oh, you were just like a repressed, like, not a repressed trans woman or whatever, but you were just a repressed, like, this is what you were repressed of, you know? You were repressed of all these things, these feelings or whatever, you know, because you felt like, okay, you're not an adult, whatever, but it was you trying to be like a guy. You were trying to be a guy and failing at it. And it was not because you couldn't do it. I'm a handsome, attractive guy as a guy, you know. I mean, still, if you see me as a guy, I'm still very attractive. And so it's like, I just didn't fucking do it. I couldn't. It's like something in me. It was the Velma shit thing that I did. Oh, my heart. Like, you know, like, this is weird. Like, you know, not with girls, but just like in general, like, you around guys, you know. And so you see, like, you're not, like, you're different. You know, it's hard to explain, but it makes sense, you know. And so like that's what I had to realize about myself, and like then I realized I was raised to be a man, like to be a boy, like, and so I did what guys did. I socialized as a teenage boy, but like, you know what I'm saying? When you are becoming a woman or are going to be transitioning, when you're out in public or dealing with society or dealing with people in general, and they take you as a woman, even in that respect, I guess because I'm here in Texas, right? It's like, or even they fucking feel like, oh, you're transitioning, or you look a little prettier, like, are you gay transitioning? Like, them motherfuckers will immediately start treating you like a woman, and then like literally like you don't know how to act like a woman, and that shit gonna be weird, and you're gonna feel weird, and then you're gonna be like, what do you mean? And you're gonna feel some type of way, but like, it's real when you don't know, and this is why people go to therapy, I guess. So, it's like that type of shit's like incredible because I basically have to learn now, and it's not that bad because I can be a grown ass woman. Like there's nothing about being a grown ass woman that's not hard to accomplish. But when it comes to like being a woman in society, like if you like I actually go on the actual hormones and shit, and actually like if I decide to have surgeries or whatever the fuck, like literally like that shit literally is gonna be like people are gonna treat me like a woman. I already know it's gonna happen. So I'm seeing it now. Like people don't care at this point. Like when she was there, some people cared. It was mostly old school people, many people, but like most people just didn't care. And that shit was like, huh. And if they didn't care, they had to fucking take that shit. They had to be like, fuck it.
It's gone, Velma. This wasn't an exercise in deep
You know?
It's an exercise in slut shaming. No woman should ever have to change who she is or how she
It's
chooses to not be murdered.
But you're more than your looks, Olive. You can reverse your car without even looking at the camera.
I know, Velma. Just like I know I love looking hot. You think every girl deep down is like you, but you're wrong. In fact, your definition of womanhood is more restricted than ours.
We're having a moment.
We'll take our police details now, and no logo.
The hot girls don't like the definition of womanhood that Velma gives because she's kind of nerdy and ugly.
Your definition of womanhood is even more restrictive than ours.
They're hot.
Something's different about you today. Wait, you didn't try an energy drink again, did
I
you?
was about to say, yeah, I knew it. Oh my god, what is she doing? God, I gotta show you guys. This
How dare
is what she
you call
did.
any woman a monster, you monster.
She's not
I
pretty,
just
so she
said
did
to
this.
show support for all
What the
beautiful ways
fuck?
women exist
Like-
themselves, even the ones I think are stupid.
Come on.
I know, it's very upsetting that I have to do it.
That's that go back in there on the cross of motion type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Like, no, you didn't. Anyways, man. So, yeah. So, I had to realize that. And, like, I know it's on it's like, lame, but, like, I'm literally like an AI right now. Like, I'm literally like,
Having a baby.
I have to, like,
Having a baby, or
see what,
deciding
like,
to don't need to have a baby.
people did. Like, how even girls my age, I have to see how girls my age thought back in that time. I was the same age as them,
You have to get these cars
know?
to move so an
and I'm good. I'm realizing a lot of things. I'm just like saying because I have the platform. So it was like men and women, because you're raised as a man or you're raised as a woman. Like from birth, it's like they treat you a certain way and you're weird a certain way, and then you socialize that way based on what you know. And so you motherfuckers be like, based off of like your actual biology and shit and like development that you're experiencing, like motherfuckers literally like by the time you hit like 12, right? Basically, by the time you hit puberty and shit, that's when like you're going through the transformation of like being a cute, because we're all cute when we're boy and girl, but by the time we hit like puberty, that's when it's about like sex. It's about being sexy. It's about like, but like you can even watch. I was like, for example, they have it right now. They're doing the Wizard of Waverly Place, right? New show and shit. And like I was watching, like they have the reruns now. And Disney is doing the first season on fucking YouTube for free and shit on some like live shit, all day. I was watching that shit, and then I'm like, yeah, like this is when Selena Gomez was like that age, around 12, 13, 14, and like like they're like, ugh, boys, like, and then like I remember the dad was like, He was like, oh, thank God, they still don't like boys. And I was thinking like, oh my God. But like, they still, but what does that even mean? Like, you know? No, like, but you saw the fucking scene, they still like fuck around with the guys and like, you know, but they're all about their friends and shit. Like, it's about being sassy and shit when you're like that. You're like getting out of the kid form. By the time the motherfucker hit like 16, it's about like, oh my God, my boyfriend, girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, you saw on the show, like, you know, just like a lot of the shows, like, and shit like that, you know? Like, That's the Raven, all them hoes, like, all this fucking, I don't know, Boy Meets World, all that shit, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, and that shit, like, Boy Meets World, like, you know, like, a lot of that type of shit. Like, you see, like, that, so, like, that socialization is different. Like, for a guy, you're taught like around that time to be stronger, to be tougher. Like, I remember like lifting weights and playing football, and like I was like the weights. I remember telling him, the coach, "Oh, coach, the weights are really rusty. Like they're gonna like tear up my skin." And he was like, "It's gonna make your skin tougher." And I was like, "What the fuck?" I'm going home every day with like worker hands, you know, bruised up hands and shit. You know, talking about something like it's gonna make your hands tougher. I was in 9th grade in high school. So like I literally like was socialized to like be tough, and like while women are sitting here literally being taught to like literally like this, it's like crazy. It's so opposite. It's like that shit kind of makes you angry sometimes. But it's like they literally are being taught to like this shit. You get what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? That's fucking wild. Like, that shit, like, I'm sorry, you have to understand, like, what the fuck? Like, it's aggravating me because you have to understand, like, that shit's wild. It's fucking, it's like so polar opposite, like, women, and then, like, even when I do it now, like, dude, I'm, like, fucking kind of flipped out, like, I'm not really sitting here, like, doing makeup and shit, and all that. Like, it makes you feel so fucking conflicted and shit with self. You know what I'm saying? When you're socialized. I mean, socialized is you take a female and you play, like, we had a female that wanted to play football, and she played football with us. I remember when she was in that. I remember seeing her practice and all that shit. She played with us. And she had a helmet on, so I didn't really see her. I didn't know she was there. I heard about her until one day I was at the game and shit, and I saw her take her helmet off, and she was there and shit, and I was like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? I saw her around me and shit, and I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? And she said, what's up? And I was like, what's up? And she was actually just like a girl with this shit. That shit was weird as fuck. She was like, hey. I was like, fuck. She wasn't like, I don't know, she wasn't too, you know? Like, she wasn't too, yeah, what's up? Yeah. You know? She wasn't trying to overdo it, you know? And I was just kind of like, hey, I'm still grown. It was weird. And that's what I'm saying, because she's being socialized at home or outside of this shit to be a princess. And then, like, she's over here being a fucking warrior. It's like, you get what I'm saying? You see that? That's just what I'm saying. It's shit like that makes you feel, like, kind of jealous and too, but, like, you know? We know about boy cheerleaders and shit, but it's still not the same thing. Like, and so, I don't know. So I realized that, and so that's why I've been kind of like, you know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I was watching that. Like, it's a lot of like that type of socialization. You have to understand that's the female, and I realized that's why females are what they are. Like, that's why grown women are what they are, and it made me realize that everybody's, because I felt that way as a guy, and I guess that kind of made me feel, I don't know how to explain it. Like, when I was a guy, I felt like, okay, this is it? This is lame. And then when I became a woman in my mind, right, it was like, okay, like, this is amazing. Until I realized, so I talking basically you deal with cis women, the cis women world, and you're like, what the fuck? And then after a while, you kind of just like dissociate because you're like, okay, I'm just a trans woman type shit, right? A transsexual or, whatever the fuck. Third gender, I don't give a fuck. And then the motherfucker like be like, hold on, wait a minute, you go back because you're living in still living in this world of cisgender normativity, and so sometimes people kind of categorize you or whatever the fuck, and it's like you be fucking feeling like, wait a minute, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like you be feeling like, wait a minute, like you get kind of caught up in it. And then you realize, okay, like, you're non-binary, and you know you're not binary, but that's not, it's complicated because when you're trans, you want to feel like you're a woman, but then at the same time, you know what I mean? It's ironic, same thing right now, I'm watching Velma. You know what I mean? Like, it's like Velma's like, she's like, oh, I have feelings for fucking Daphne, but then like, hold on, god damn it. And then this fucker, he's coming at you and shit. This motherfucker's coming at you with the milk. And you're thinking that, like, should I fuck him? Like, am I really be a sissy? And you're like, bitch, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit anymore. That does not fucking define me as a fucking woman or none. You know what I mean? Like, you start feeling that type of shit. Like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I kind of feel like right now. You know? Like... She's really like, she just closed the window on him and shit. He's like, he really did that shit. Anyways, though, I tried that shit on girls too. It almost worked and shit. People think being hot, you get all the girls, but you really don't. Like, a lot of girls just want you to fucking because girls want to be romantic. That's what I realized too, and I also feel that way because every time I take estrogen, like, I kind of get into romance too. I'm more into romance right now. But like, it's like they want you to be romantic, and that shit is not just. It's the same thing. It's not just how we know. It's the socialization. And so, like, when you don't grow up with that, you don't even know how to. Like, you don't know. I don't know how to let a man take care of me. That's the difference between me and the other. That's why I'm probably not. I'm always in this position. Like, I would definitely have a sugar daddy or somebody, even a boyfriend, probably, that would take care of me. But I don't know how to like let a guy be like, okay, I'm gonna take care of you. And it's not that I don't like want that. It's just kind of I don't want it to be on some like, like I speak for her, like toxic masculinity shit. You get what I'm saying? I was watching this movie recently on Amazon. I just bought it too. Shit was like fucking $14.99 crazy. It was American Pie. I was looking at girl power movies, and it was American Pie, Girls Rule, right? I think it was made like 2024, 2020 something. It's a new movie. It's like the newest movie ever, right? And so like it's an all female like cast type shit. With the the main characters, and Stifler is a girl too now, so we have a Stifler and she's a female in this generation. Kind of cool. And so so I'm watching that shit, and like we're basically trying to find the perfect guys and shit. And so there's one character like she's all super like so there's two characters right that are like like hot, just kind of like in the first one. Like there was like more of it. There was like this one character was weird, but there was two characters that were hot, and there's two characters that were just kind of like nerds. You know what I'm saying? And so you kind of have those characters, Stifler and this other chick. You know what I mean? One has a boyfriend, Stifler. The one that's kind of like too nerdy and shit, like too like caught up in like academics and all this shit. And then like the other person that's like, I have a boyfriend. I'm trying to have a boyfriend. And I want a boyfriend. You know what I mean? Type shit. Like how like another one he wanted to have sex and shit, but like he just wanted to fucking like have sex, but he at the same time he just couldn't do it because he was so shy and shit. But he wasn't really shy, he just was a monogamous guy. That's how really it is. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's so many weird things like you realize when you get older, like you're like, yeah, like nah, you're not like a punk. You're not weird for not always hitting on women and shit. Like, you know what I mean? You're just a monogamous guy. Like, even like you think about it, and, like we can go into like the incel world and be like, okay, the 40-year-old virgin, like it was such a fucking like, you know, a heartbreaking thing. Some people would say it was a fucking horror movie and shit, and I can understand because I was watching that shit when I was homeless and shit like a year ago, and that shit fucking made me feel like a piece of shit as a man. Like if I was a man and I was watching that shit, like and I was an incel and I tried to live up to manhood and all that shit, like that shit would fucking kill me. And then it's crazy because you have MGTOW and all this other shit, and men are fucking doing what the fuck they want to do. And at this point, it's like the situation is so drastic that if you're trying to literally live in a culture that doesn't exist, it just doesn't make any sense. You know, it's like we live in a whole different time now. It's like I was watching Chucky and shit last night, and motherfucker was like, what the fuck's going on here? He was like, we're non-binary. And then we go as they and them. He's like, there's no they and them. There's only one of you. And he's like, language change, dumbass. And he's like, what? You can't change language and shit. Like, it's the fucking future. Like, I was like, what the fuck? But it's true though. They just put that shit. How are you? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Fernando, I'm doing great. They said you gotta figure it out because it might be forever. Room you wanna be in and do what you feel. Find your room first though. Hormones. Yeah, I feel you. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, but I just. The thing about me is, I'm just being like honest. I basically practical myself. Like I know my situation, and like for me, it's like I have to. Like I said, I even like kind of freaked out a little bit. Like I had to get a drink when I saw her the first time. I went to the restaurant. I was telling myself in the mirror, like it's okay. Like you're gonna have your time. Like you know, like I said, I'm taking like. I want to take the hormones, but I just don't want to change it to come on too quick. And then, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoa, I'm changing and it's too fast. It's, you know what I mean? And I'm not where I want to be. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, I'm literally still in that life of hell. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're out of that. But now it's time for me to escape. It's time for me to actually escape right now. So I'm saying I have the actual blueprints to the Underground Railroad now. It's just I gotta like literally just take that shit. You know what I'm saying? But that's still a procedure, right? Because it's still like you gotta fucking get the kids out, put the fucking kids to sleep, type shit with the little, you know, pneumonia shit. Oh my god. Shaggy's kissing a fucking black chick. I don't know if Shaggy's even black. Is he Nick? I don't know what's going on. This is weird. Anyways, so yeah, and then like you know, and then I gotta like basically I just want to secure like ever since I was like like 23 and I was working at the restaurant, living with my sister and her ex-boyfriend, her fuck buddy, whatever, fuck friend, old dude, in the fucking studio apartment and shit, separating our fucking cells by fucking like bed sheets and shit, nailed to the roof and shit. Like, dude, like literally since then when I was like, I want to be transgender. I thought I was transgender because I thought that's what I was, right? Like, I knew if I was gonna do that shit, I had to be fucking taken care of. I knew immediately I had to be safe. I had to be protected. And how women are protected is not by men. Like, we're protected by like money, by the system. Like the fact that the laws, all that shit, it protects women. It protects the fact that we can protect ourselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that normativity protects women. And so that's why you can't attack a transgender woman out here. That's why you can just be mad as fuck, all this other shit, unless you're like in the back alley or something, like, you know what I mean? Or nobody's there. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like in public, you can't really, like, you know what I mean? Like in an open public place, you can't just be beating up on somebody and shit. That's like crazy. Or trying to kill a fucking trans woman. It's not gonna work, you know? You can just be mad as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you're in a place and like enough people don't like you, you could get your ass fucking kicked. So you gotta be careful. You know, that's just, you know, common sense. You know. That's why I was talking shit about Hispanics and shit, because like these motherfuckers come in like that and they do that shit on purpose. I noticed that shit. They like to do that shit. I noticed that shit. They like to flood into a place and be like, "Hey, we took this shit over." That shit annoying. That shit's not okay. To me, that's not okay. I'm sorry. It's just not.
It's easy to shop and swap for the features you want and the lowest prices guaranteed. So you get
Anyway, though.
refrigerators from Samsung.
But yeah, I got my whole plan figured out right now. Like I said, like I'm still working on it. Like the reason why, let me tell you what happened before. The reason why what happened before was, and it's crazy. Give me one second. Let me do that.
Places like this help us give kids which white actors are descended from slave owners. If there's any record of Dr. Purdue, tell me here.
Especially after wasting years pining for that boss. Meatball?
I actually heard Meatball was really cool and beautiful.
All we had about Dr. Purdue was old Jack. It was fine. 92.9% of our visitors are people looking for a bath. Huh? Sure. Well, the last person to look at that was Dia Dinkley.
What? My mom was researching a mad scientist and then disappeared at her house? Why? Fred, I'm hallucinating. Quick, make me laugh like Norma would have.
I would, but all I can think of right now is the gender pay gap. Is it funny? Women make 20% less than men, and women of color even less? I can't stop laughing. Does anyone have a defibrillator?
Stop. You could lose a finger. And you helping me isn't working. I need Normal back. I literally just died without him.
Almost died.
Still, if I can separate reality dating shows' exploitation of women from my obsessive need to watch them, I can separate Gigi from Normal. I have no choice but to lure him to the one place no girlfriend would ever go.
Oh, let me guess. Cigar Lounge. Is that what shop? World War II Museum?
No, my dad and stepmom are out of the house tonight, so I'm gonna host a little get-together. Looks like the marching band sleepover just got uncanceled. Thank God I have mercy on this.
Okay. Remember to take your pill with food. And absolutely
He's
no
rude.
getting murdered after curfew, young lady.
So the reason why
You got ID?
all this shit even happened in the first place, I hate to go back to it, but on the real, the reason why all this shit happened in the first place was just a downfall of myself, honestly. But it really all really started because I was taking the periphery in the replica, you know, and I've been taking it for a while, taking the black hole off for a while, like around 2021. As soon as I fucking figured out that I was like, when I came out to myself again, right, after all these years, and like really kind of, it really settled in, like, oh, yeah, like I'm somewhat effeminate, somewhere, like I have this in me, like it was, when I say it was evident, it was like layers, but it was like, you know how you think about it and you're going in, like, you're like, maybe I'm a little bit like metrosexual, or like, you know, these are just terms, but you know what I'm saying, like, you know, guys think, you know, whatever, you know, oh, I'm not super guy, or like, I'm not like a bushy, hairy, you know, or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't know, you know, there's layers to it. I'm not gay, I'm not that gay, I'm not fucking a fag, like, I'm not, you know, queer as shit, I'm not like, you know, like, I'm not fucking, all you know how they get, I'm not a fucking transgender person, like, or whatever. So that shit sunk all the way down to transgender, like hard, like it went straight to doof, and it was so quick and so fast that it was like a gunshot wound, like blank. And so like, it was a fucking picture I would love to show you, but yeah, you've probably seen it probably on the internet if you watch it like memes or pictures or whatever. I think it's on Pinterest or whatever. But it's like transgender woman, and it's like and it shows like layers of silhouette of people. And it's like the biggest silhouette is like blue, and it's like a silhouette of a guy, and inside that silhouette is like a silhouette of a girl or some shit. I'm not exactly sure. Or like I don't know if it's a girl or it's this black, genderless figure or whatever, And it's like I think it's the girl first, and then the black genderless figure, and it's like and the girl figure's pink, and it's like in the inside one's black, and it's basically like that says the guy on the outside is compared to the world, the girl on the inside, and then like the darkness eating your soul and shit on the inside. And so like I'm already past that because like suicide attempts and shit. So like my dark soul is like literally like, you know what I'm saying, has advanced and is like now on the outside. So like it's blue on the outside and the darkness on the outside next, and then the girl on the inside. And so like literally I remember like, and it's just, I know I'm about to sound crazy as fuck, but it's just the psychic, this is how I think, literally fucking like, I imagine literally I'm working and shit, because when it clicked to me was basically when like I'm working with like basically Nigerian people, right? They're from Nigeria. And so we share like similarities based off how I was raised and how I was weird, how I was socialized. So I know, how to be that type of person, whatever, around this type of people. So like I started realizing the way I think and the way I handle situations is more like how the women were handling situations. And I didn't even fucking really notice that shit. And then I started realizing like, why do I act so much like them and think so much like in my responses and how I deal with shit. So feminine. And it was just like, I started kind of putting two together, and I started realizing like, why am I like that shit? It's kind of crazy. And then I started realizing like, well, maybe I really am this way, And then I started like, everything started like kind of caving in. It's like, yeah, you already like, I'm trying to think at that point what. I'm like, yeah, you already lived with the guy and shit. You literally shared a bed with the guy. You like literally had one bed in an apartment with the whole guy and shit. Like, and it was a high school sweetheart. Like, you know what I mean? Okay. Yeah, like it was like holy fuck, and then like everything started, and you already thought like this. I was like 27. I'm like, I was thinking about being transgender like a long time ago. I even remember when I was in fucking high school, and I told my older brother and shit like at the end of my graduation, he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I didn't feel. I felt like I wasn't. I don't know. I was just angry, and then I told him, I said, I might be gay. I wasn't even fucking serious about that shit. I just said that shit like on some like, I don't even know who the fuck I am type shit. I was angry. I didn't know what the fuck I am. And I felt like I completed all this shit, and it was like I had no answers. I was sick of this. And to who I am as a person, not feeling right, like, and that's why I was like, what the fuck? And Rasta helped me like just embrace the world and humanity in its core, being human and shit. And so then like that brings on so much more of me breaking out of conventional religion to more open to more different religions and spirituality. And so broadening the sense of that's where I deal with. But at the same time, like now it's like everything just changed. Like when I was in Austin, I literally was like taking the pills, doing my thing, and people started, and then I was there. You're on Reddit, right? And I'm not gonna lie, Reddit has all the information, and it's like I got some information just telling me basically like the only way you're really gonna be taken seriously as a trans woman is if you act like if you act like a fag, and that shit was like, and I was like, and that shit really worked. Like, I got immediately respected just by acting super fucking gay, like, not gay, but you know what I'm saying, like, super fucking like, oh my god, and like, yeah, that's the tea. Like, I was doing that shit hard than bitch, just dragging these motherfuckers. Yeah, and it was just like, and for me as a person, like that shit felt fucking weird. Like I felt like a drag queen, and that's why I think like the person that I was into, I guess my friend or whatever, he was like calling me a drag queen instead of a trans woman, and I didn't know how to like, it was weird. It was weird. So yeah, I just really had a big issue with that shit. Like, I had a really big issue with that. Because like when I was in Austin, it was like, when I was in Austin, I literally like was doing that, and it was like mixed with the hormones and shit, mixed with the fucking like the peripheral nerve kind of shit, and all the fucking like the black colostrum, all the testosterone like roots and all that shit, blockers roots and shit. It was like the motherfuckers were seeing changes, and they were seeing like me do this, and then I had like a whole way of doing it. Like I had in my beard and shit. Like I made it look like feminine. Like it was just like it was a whole thing. Like, and these motherfuckers were like, I don't know. And that was just me playing with like femininity, you know? It was crazy. And like I had a lot of people that were just really transphobic. And so like, and I realized there's some people that were talking to me, and it was just like, yeah, I got the blicky in the car and shit. And then where we were at, it just was like the whole environment. Like I was literally homeless in my car. People knew, and it was like I'm tranny living in my car. My car's breaking down. Everybody sees it coming in fucking every day, fucking smoked out. And then it's like, you get what I'm saying? They're seeing me sitting here fucking acting like a fag, and they're like wondering like, what the fuck? And they're like talking about some, you can't do this shit around here. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that shit made me feel like, you know what I mean? And where I worked and shit, late at night I have to stop a lot, because like the car break, like overheat, and it's like, you know what I mean? Anybody can pull up on me and shit in the middle of the fucking Texas and shit, like where I worked was like very dark, woody ass area, all the way out there, like, working in a warehouse. And so it was like, what the fuck? I don't want nobody to pull up on me like, oh, that's that fag I saw. You know what I mean? And like, pop. It could happen. Even though I'm Austin, it's like, that shit still can happen. Like, shit still can go down. Don't get it twisted. Especially somebody like me. And so that's why I was like, nah. And that's when I realized another part, like, So I quit because I was tired of the job. I didn't like it. I just didn't like working because, like, I realized, like, that's what working is. Like, it's just all bullshit. But anyways, employees, right? Employees and coworkers and shit. So I quit my job, but I had this money, and I was going broke, but I didn't know what to do. And I was trying to get another job, but I didn't want to work at where I was trying to work at. But I knew I can always get another job, right? In Austin, because it was like, it's Austin, you can get another job, They got jobs everywhere in Austin. Like, it's the headquarters of Indeed, and so I was like, oh shit, like, I was like, yo, like, that's why Indeed was like so easy to get a job on Indeed, because it was like, you're living in Austin, you're gonna around the Texas area around there, like, you're gonna get a job. They're gonna call you and be like, you can call them and be like, yeah, what's up? And they'll be like, yeah, I got you the job. But this shit, like over here, like, it's not like that. It's very like 1950s, like, hey, sir, can I have a job? Even then, it's like, we'll call you. People hate that shit. Anyways, so long story short, I was like living in my car, and then one day I was like, damn, I want to take this hormone shit seriously, because they're like, if you really want to take the next step of your fucking transition seriously, or whatever, or like really, you know what I mean? Like, and then you're thinking like you're trying to be cute about it, right? Because you're like, oh my god, no, but like on some real shit. Now as I'm getting older, dysphoria has gotten to the point for me where like I don't know, like I'm taking, like I think I'm taking the Perfenrifka, right, which is progesterone, and I'm getting like these feelings, and it's like I look in the mirror and I don't feel that shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that shit fucks me up sometimes, and like I have to literally be like yesterday I was just like feeling my face, and I was just like, what's wrong? Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? You don't know how to explain it, and you look at your face and you're like, it's because of this fucking brow bone right here, you know what I mean? And then you start like realizing it's because my fucking chin is big as fuck, and like, you know, because you don't look like a female, you know what I'm saying, type shit. Kind of body dysmorphia type shit. And so it's like, that's always been the thing. I always know, if I was in transition, I only really want the hormones and facial feminization surgery. I really don't care about tits. But then like now I kind of like, oh my god, I want tits, because tits make you look like a female, you know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of like basically it. Like, that's pretty much all I really want. And so I was like, okay, cool. I said, boy, but I wouldn't change who I am. Like, I'm still gonna be like the type of person, but I don't even know anymore, because like you have to change with society as an adult, and you are an adult, and so it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's those expectations that you have to mix with who you are as a person, and it's kind of like integrating all that together is really hard, because I have never been socialized as a woman, so it's like it's just weird like that, you know? And so when I say that, all that shit, socialization, all that shit, for a whole reason, because it's like it's what I learned now, but like it brings me back to the point of like 2 years ago when I was trying to get the hormones. I went online, and you go the whole consent thing, right? So like I went to a consent doctor online, where it's just like I had to basically speak to them somehow. So I had to pay them $100. We had to do a fucking video chat, and like I just felt like she was grilling the fuck out of me, and the way her looks that she was giving me gave me like, that's not like good type shit. And it was like, what the fuck? Or my answers weren't like, I don't know. I just felt like she was not convinced I was transgender, and that shit made me feel like, what the fuck? Because after like the whole interview or whatever, it was like, she's like, I think you have to take like some therapy and shit for like a year, and then like come back. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what the fuck? Like, that was the whole point. I thought it was just like she was gonna ask me like preliminary questions, you know what I'm saying, like about my health and shit, like, you know what I'm saying, like, you know what I'm saying, questions about like my heart rate, my blood pressure, like, you know what I'm saying, like things that she might need to know about me. Then like set up an appointment and shit, like, you know what I'm saying, or just like sign me up. This is through Folks too. I did it through Folks, which of course, you know what I'm saying, that's what I'm talking about. These fucking little internet fucking commercials that they be all fucking full of shit. To regular people though, they want certain type of people. That's what I'm saying. They want their brand to be branded a certain way, so they want like the perfect person. You know what I'm saying? They don't want somebody like me. You know, if I'm keep it real, they don't want a big ass black nigga and shit. You know what I'm saying? And you would think they would want, but they don't. They don't want that shit. Society, when society think of trans women, they think of a girl. You know what I'm saying? Who just might be trans. That's what they really be thinking. And so the better you are at that's when they kind of like respect you as a trans woman to some degree. But anything else is like, no, cross-dresser, drag queen, man, are just like trannies. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like really awkward as fuck. Somebody wants someone like you. I mean, I'm not saying that's not true. I'm not saying I've not been hit on. It's not. I mean, I have stories about that. That's not what we're talking about at all. What we're talking about here is like something like gatekeeping in the whole in the medical field, the transgender medical field, like gatekeeping, like doctors that just they look at you and they feel like, okay, you're not gonna make a good woman. Like in society, like you're not gonna make a passable woman, and you know what I'm saying. And basically, they ask you certain questions that make you feel that, make you realize that, because you know you start getting conflicted and shit make you feel like bad and shit, and it's not fair because you're in a vulnerable position and you feel like you just want to just do this because it's something that's going to help you. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, think about it. Like, I'm 30 now, right? I'm about to turn 31. And probably that's when I'm probably going to start hormones, right? When I'm 31. And it's like, this is when I was 27. So this was like literally like 4 years ago at this point. To where like you can actually like have the money, be in a safe space, and everything's not, you know, chaotic in my life, right? To do this, you know, honestly. You know? Because this is the thing, the transgender girl that was working with me, she got fired for some bullshit. Why? Being a little sassy ass little bitch. And I knew that. I think I talked about that. I'm not sure. I can go into that about that shooting about how she just was not. She had the narcissistic rage. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck? I actually got it expelled too. So these are the things you have to learn as a trans woman, like, because you have to take the higher road because there is no other road to take. You know, you have to realize like, no, like you gotta be higher than that shit. You gotta be better than that shit. There's no other way for your safety and for your, you know what I mean? Because you don't have the backup. You don't have that shit. So you have to be like, okay, you have to always have, you know what I mean? That trump card. You gotta be like fucking Batman and shit. That shit, these motherfuckers, like, how the fuck does he fucking stay alive and do this shit? Okay, like, cause this motherfucker got no powers and shit. Nobody's, you know what I mean? There's nothing backing you up and shit. Like, seriously. And you think the things that are backing you up, but I mean, they're not really backing you up. Like, a lot of times I see a lot of trans women, I feel like a lot of that's be situational. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have people that stay with their fucking lovers and shit. Like, you're not gay. Why would you stay with your lover? You know what I'm saying? It's because, like, they literally don't know anything else. That's like their mind of culture. Like, they think that shit, like, you have to stay with this person, so they do. And they don't even see them as a fucking woman. They truly see them as, like, okay, like, you're metrosexual type shit. You know, they still see them as a guy, like, in all reality. And they don't want to admit that shit because, you know, they're girls. So they're like, oh, no, like, girl code. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to fucking break your heart. But, like, in reality, it's like, no, bitch, what the fuck? That bitch don't see you like that. And that's how I really feel like that should be bullshit. Because she knows you have a penis. You'll never be a real woman and shit. And that's because that's the cisgender mentality of what we were all, like, socialized under. And then, like, I was watching this fucking video on YouTube. This intersex girl was saying that shit. And that still fucks me up today because she was like, I'm a man with female makeup. Like, female genetics. And low testosterone or some shit, and that shit fucked me up because she so basically described herself. She's a trans woman, but she's intersex, and it was like, what the fuck? And she kind of even kind of looks a little bit like she's trans in the sense of like she has like a big jaw and shit. It was like, but she's really fucking hot. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of like, I don't even know what I'm saying, like in the sense of like transgenderism. You know what I'm saying? Like you would think like a transgender woman look like hot as fuck type of shit. Like that's what she looked like, and it was like, but like perfect though. You know what I'm saying? And it was weird because she was like saying how she was like growing up, she's a girl, and then she realized at puberty when she wasn't like changing and shit that like she was intersex and she was actually a guy that's just like, you know what I'm saying, that never developed past, because we all started as women in the stomach, in the fetus, you know what I'm saying? So like they never developed past the fucking female state. That shit was crazy, bro. I was like, what the fuck? That shit was like, nigga. Like, I was like, nigga. And so, like, you know what I mean? That shit was crazy. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, that shit just makes you feel like, what the fuck? There's so many different fucking variations of what the fuck can go down and shit. And so, like, yeah, like, the binary of that shit is that shit, but it can go either way based off of, like, what we know as, you know what I'm saying? Or think of man and woman, like could be any variation of anything, so it doesn't even really matter anymore. That's what non-binary is. But the binary spectrum and shit, like that shit, like it's hard to respect somebody on the binary spectrum if there's non-binary people. You get what I'm trying to say? Like you could be like titties at the top and dick at the bottom. Like why would I respect you as a cross-dresser saying one day like you feel like you're on the female side and shit, you know what I'm saying? And you identify not like a female all the way, but as like a demi-female or some shit, you know what I'm saying? When you literally have like no titties at the dick and no dick at the bottom, like the biology doesn't fit what the fucking identity is with, and so it's like that shit's fucking crazy and shit. And so that's what transsexuality really is. Like I think transsexuality is like when you're on the binary based off of biology, but like your like identity, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to match your identity biologically with the gender that you identify with. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit's hard to explain, but it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I respect transsexuality a little bit more than transgender identity. Transgender identity is more as a like social term. It's more like trendy, to be honest. Like non-binary, all that shit can be seen as, that too. But transsexuality is really where it's at. That's why you were saying taking the hormones. Even if you're normal and trying your best, haters gonna hate. Yeah, I mean, haters gonna hate. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but like, it is what it is. Like, let me explain. Like, so yeah, so it was what it was. Like, I was living in my car, dude. Like, I was literally in my car. I parked where it was like there was like shade, like where the sun was not like. So like, and I had my fucking like window covers up and all that shit. And I had to have some type of light, so I creaked open the door and shit, and that shit was like too blinding, so I had to put like a little bit of light in that shit just to like have some lighting in like the room. You know what I'm saying? Like you're doing a Skype message and you're in your fucking car talking to a fucking doctor, and I paid her like $100 and shit. She's in like an office and shit, doing the whole shit, and the question she was asking, like, when did you first have these thoughts of being transgender? Like that shit's like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a deep ass fucking question to ask somebody and shit, like when they haven't even like had a safe space to be like, hey guys, I'm trans. I haven't told any other fucking person in like reality. You know what I'm saying? At this point, she's the first person in reality, besides my friend that I told, that ended up calling me a drag queen and shit to my face. That I have these feelings, or that I actually said that I am transgender and I'm trying to change my sex. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's deeper than just like, I'm gonna do that shit, yay! You know what I'm saying? It's actually a really, really, really big deal in your life. Like, in your life. Not about anybody else, it's about you in your life. And so that shit was like, okay, like, what the fuck? So when she said it to me, I just told her, as long as I can remember, I've been different. And I didn't know how to describe that, because you don't know how to describe that. How you describe that you don't, when it comes to gender, you've been you, and then you just experience life, and then, like, you came encounter with, like, the expectation from, like, socially, like, other boys and shit, to fucking like be a certain way, act a certain way in response. Like you're expected to respond a certain way. What the fuck? You get what I'm saying? It's like speaking to somebody in a different language. Like what the fuck? Like motherfucker, I don't know what the fuck you're saying. You get what I'm saying? And so like some people just don't give a fuck. They just leave you alone. And in reality, most people just leave you alone. So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know. Like you don't know. You just you, unless it's drastic and shit. You know? And she was talking about how, like the onset of intersexuality can start at later ages and shit. Not too late, of course, but before puberty, about puberty area. That shit was crazy. And I'm thinking a lot of things start. They even have the fucking theory that AGP starts around. You know what I'm saying? that time, and it's like, does that make sense? What I'm saying? Like, there's something about all the biology that just goes into it. Like, there's a lot of good science out there that just explains all this shit. So it's like, you think that when you research this shit, you're like, okay, this should be kind of obvious. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have to fucking, like, it's like a psychological basis. They're literally still treating you based off the psychological basis. You get what I'm saying? Like, she basically, what I'm saying is, she's not taking the DSM-5. She's literally fucking taking it from, like, the old transsexual, you know what I'm saying, not transgender fucking terms, and she's literally treating me as if I have a sexual, like, a mental disorder. And it's like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, I'm literally here with folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfucker, like, it's like, this is like, it's like, what the fuck? Like, your whole name brand was like discreet. Like, you can get your hormones just fucking through the internet and shit. Like, not, you know what I'm saying, consent and shit like that. You're an adult. Like, I'm already fucking like 27. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm above the 25 age rule. You get what I'm saying? Like, this shit makes no fucking sense. Once I didn't check the law and shit, and then these Texas and shit, that shit was crazy. Like, and so she like literally like was like doing that shit to me, and I already knew from that point on, because I really fucking knew what it was. I've been in the transgender circles, bitch. What the fuck? I already knew. I was like, what the fuck? She really gonna do this shit to me? And I was like, oh my god. Like, I already knew that. My heart fucking sank, and I didn't know how to act, because, you know, like, when I'm in girl mode or cross dress or whatever, right? I feel like, okay, like, yeah, I'm like super really, I'm really into it. You know, you get the voice, everything, right? Like, I feel really good. And then it's like, if I don't, you know, feel that way, I'm not gonna give you that shit. Like, I am also gonna give you motherfucker. I'm not gonna just give you sass all day. I'm gonna give you some of the guy side of me, because that's just who I am. Like, I grew up with women like that. I remember my fucking PE teacher, Miss Medberry, fucking was a woman and shit, had a fucking husband and shit, all that shit, kids. Very fucking like masculine talking, and she was talking like, yeah, so we gotta do this, do it. Like, I had PE teachers that were female, you know what I'm saying? That were like, I don't know, it's like, what the fuck, you know? It's weird to explain, but it's like, yeah, like, I'm not ashamed of like talking like that or something. Like, just getting your point across, you know, and being the VP, the VP, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm fucking Max. You gotta watch that show. It's pretty funny. The vice president, of female and shit, has a girl from fucking Seinfeld or some shit. Anyway, so yeah, like, I just found, and then like she started asking questions like, are you homosexual, bisexual, or straight and shit? And I was like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, I was in my mind thinking like, I'm pan, but I didn't want to, like, because I was like, okay, she's a doctor, you know what I mean? I just kind of like, Jesus, take the wheel. Like, I got a doctor now. I thought in my mind like it was gonna be just like some like questions about like my medical shit, but she was like going based off of like my sexuality. And I didn't really feel comfortable to say I'm all the way gay, because I am attracted to women, so like, that's just sexuality. But I'm not romantically attracted to women like that. You get what I'm saying? And I had to realize that shit myself. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, once again, because I was socialized as male, that's the thing that you can't get rid of. You know what I'm saying? That's your sexuality. I was socialized as male. You know what I mean? And I've had sex with nothing but males and shit. You know what I'm saying? For the most part and shit. You know what I'm saying? Played around with women and shit, but like, I've, you know, mostly had sex with males. And so it's like, and I mean, I've had sex with trans women. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's like, so it's like, I don't know what the fuck to say. Like, it's like, I'm pansexual. That's what I told you. Like, in the world, people might think I'm straight, but now like, I'm realizing now. Savvy guy made a video saying like, oh, like, you know, you can't fool people and shit. And I'm like, he's right. People know. They just start just suspecting. They know. It doesn't matter anymore. People know what's going on with you. And so I was like, yeah. So people know like I'm gay. People expect me to be gay. They always expect me to be gay. You know what I mean? That's the first thing that's gonna happen and shit when it comes to like this type of thing. But whatever. So it was like very much like, oh, okay. So I told her like I was bisexual and shit. And she was like, okay. And then she looked like disappointed, like, I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that shit, like, fucking made me angry. Like, but I couldn't express that, so I was like, kind of keep it like sissy, like, like, looking like weird, like, and I felt like I looked weird because I'm looking at, you know, it's like a real civilization. Like, you look at yourself, like, I'm this big ass black nigga, and she, like, literally dreadlocks and shit, and she literally, like, You know, and you've heard stories where it's like people say, "Oh, I didn't come dressed up the first time they came to my therapist's office, and she sent me home said I didn't take it seriously." I'm like, "What the fuck? You want me to literally dress in drag and shit? I want to become a transsexual. I want my body to fucking change. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to be dolled up. The fuck, like that's what I'm saying. Like that's how I can keep it roster, aka I can keep it kosher, or whatever you want to call it. Like what the fuck? Like that's just aggravating me. That's why it's like, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Just like we do in olden times, just do the surgery. Just get in there, you know what I mean? Give me the fucking plants and the herbs that, you know what I mean? Concoct that shit up, you know what I'm saying? Give me the shit that's gonna make me fucking female. Like honestly, it doesn't even matter. Like what I'm taking now is progesterone. Like on some shit. They have estrogen and they're not giving me estrogen now. It's like they have the world. They have estrogen in America. They just don't like sell it without prescription. That's literally what the fuck the shit is. And so it's like that's the problem. And to subscribe male, you know what I'm saying, I guess estrogen, they have to like have like a medical situation or a psychological situation. I feel like that's the reason why they think like this. They think like that because I don't know. That shit was like complete blackballing, and I was like, I felt like it's because of like the fact I wasn't in like a house. I wasn't, you know, because you see all these trans people on YouTube and shit. They want that type of shit. They want a motherfucker who's gonna put them on game and be like, yeah, like, oh, this is my fucking doctor. You know what I'm saying? They don't want no fucking bum like me. Like it's gonna be like, oh, thank God. You know what I mean? They're gonna. Man, then she started rolling out the shit. She was like, "Oh, so do you want to?" Then she starts being like, "So do you want to fucking like fake advertising?" So, you know, it's like I am a salesman. I know, like you know what I'm saying. She was like fucking like, "Oh, we also can do your boobs. We can also fucking do your butt and shit. We also can fucking do the fucking bottom surgery, top surgery." You know what I mean? I was like, "We can do your face and shit." She was all talking about all these different things she can do, and I was like. What the fuck is rolling out the red carpet and shit? That shit, and I was like, whoa, like, what the fuck? And then after all said and done, she was like, you have insurance? And I was like, no, I don't have insurance. I don't know what the fuck. And she was looking at me like, what the fuck? And she was like, okay, I recommend therapy. And I was like, oh my God, bro. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's what I hate about this world. Like, they make you feel stupid. Like, you don't have insurance. Like, I didn't even know you can get insurance for that shit. That's something you have to tell somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's something you have to literally, like, you're not like, it's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have a deal. Because that's the only way it works, right? The companies have a deal together. And these motherfuckers are not telling you shit. Like, if they can get the money through insurance or an insurance company, then tell me how to fucking do that shit. Don't just, like, be like, oh, well, you ain't got insurance. Like, what the fuck? You know, like, but that's how this world is. It's so weird and shit like that. You guys gonna jump through fiery fucking hoops every time, people. But anyways, like, yeah, so like that shit happened and like that was it. And I like that was like my last like $150 and shit. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like basically into poverty and I still had the hormones and shit and I had the job and all that shit. But I lost the car and that was pretty much my home and it was like at that point, that's when everything just kind of went downhill from there. And so I had to come back here, I had the hormones, and I'm basically turning back into a man, and I really couldn't cope. I remember I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope bad. I took my scissors and I started cutting my beard off as much as I possibly can. So I cut myself even almost. And then like cut off my fucking eyebrows because I didn't want to see like the brow bone and shit. I couldn't do it. I drew on like, I wore like a fucking like head wrap and shit. People knew I was like transgender as fuck. It was really weird, but I couldn't do it. But I was looking like this, like on that shit. Like, it's crazy how this shit really playing out like that, right? It's crazy. I gotta get to work though, so I guess I gotta get going. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about that. Like, I just feel like, for sure, like, that was really what the problem was. It was just like, at that time, and then like I quit my job because of fear of like being killed by these fucking niggas and these crazy ass fucking Texans and shit over there. Because I'm not really in like Austin. I'm like, Austin's small actually as fuck. It's like the downtown area somewhere. It's like that. Austin is like one area of A-Leaf here in Houston, and then you have like, you know what I'm saying, like all the other places around it that really are like cheaper, that are more like A-Leaf in the sense of like neighborhoody and shit. You know what I'm saying? They have money. You know what I'm saying? So that's like, So that's what that was about. But yeah, that shit was not flying over there, so it was really awkward for me. I just felt like really like, this is not gonna work. Austin's not the fucking answer. Like, Austin's good for your passing trans woman or some shit, or you have something going for you, but like, I feel like it's not for like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, like, I'm more like probably New York. Like, if I go to New York, probably, but like, I'm so Texan, so like, I can't really do that shit. You know what I'm saying? I can't really do that shit. I really don't know. I have to go see myself. But, But anyways, so yeah, so that's basically my story. That's what I'm saying. I came back from my mom's house, got this job at Seasville, all this bullshit. I'm ready to just get my car again and hit the road, or get my car now, get my CDL, and for sure get a level up. Give me a small home or an apartment. It won't be the Life of Hell channel no more. This will be something better, and that's when I'm gonna be. I guarantee you. That's what, and then I also saw some video. Something looking at. I watched the show Sort of, and like you saw season 3 when she was like talking to her doctor, and she was like, "Oh, have you thought about this?" And she was like, "If that's on Max too, if you want to watch it, Sort of." And so that was like, yeah, like you've been my doctor since we were all kids and shit. And like, it would really suck if I have to go to another doctor, because I would go to another doctor if I have to, just to get my hormones. And I was like, yes, bitch. Like, that's what I was like. And then I was trying to find that confidence in, I was still even watching like the first part of like transgender movies and shit, where like they found out a transgender and they were like, oh, I don't know what to do. I hate myself, I'm conflicted. To watching like the other end when like they came out and he was like, breast forms, and then she was like, hormones. I was like, yes, bitch. She looked at that motherfucker like, hormones, bitch. And like, I was like, yes, bitch. Cause that's how I felt like exactly. Like, you gotta let them niggas know, like, I just was like, it's just like sometimes like it's really hard, because like even today, it's like even now, it's like it's hard being vulnerable for me. It's hard for me to be vulnerable. That's the hardest part. It's really hard for me to be vulnerable, and I'm not like used to it. And it's really like almost like a feeling. You just feel weaker. You feel like you can't take it. You feel like, oh my god, like, you know what I mean? Like that type of feeling and shit. Like that feeling is fucking weird when you're a female. That feeling is so like, what the fuck? I swear to God. Not a game. Not a game. That shit feels like. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It just feels bad. I'm probably smoke this down so I can get the fuck out of here, because I really have to go to work. I'm probably gonna be late as fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm tired. I'm gonna text them now, and I'm gonna be a little bit late. Oh, man. Shit. Shit wild, but that's what happened to me. That's where I'm like, okay, now I'm like at a place where like, and then I even went to Planned Parenthood. I remember going to Planned Parenthood, and that shit was shut down. where I was at. Because where I was at was like a little bit of a hood, I guess. They shut that shit down. And now I'm like, okay. And now I couldn't find another Planned Parenthood at the location at the time. Now my car's breaking down. But now I'm like, no, I'm about to be good now because I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm not playing anymore with my car. Like that's just my responsibility. Like I'm taking my responsibilities more seriously now. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to money and all that shit, like it is what it is. I know what I was doing with it. And I still don't know what I'm doing with it, but there's levels to that shit, I guess. But like, yeah, never gonna get a car and shit. And that's gonna change the game for me right there immediately. Based off of how I just move and what I do, It's gonna be way better in the car too, guys. I guess.
Previously on Velma.
I like
Wait, Norville, your joke worked. Genius. Keep making me laugh.
No, Velma, wait. I'm here because I want you. Now,
Oh my god, man! I'm not even gonna be there on time. It's already fucking 3:37. I'm really gonna be late. I should have been there by now. He gonna be so angry. I hope my boss not gonna be there too. I thought he gonna be there.
Okay, so you know that thing where you text your friends and they don't text you back, so it feels like you're gonna die? Well, if my friend didn't text me back, I actually was going to die. Because Norville was ghosting me.
That shit gonna suck too. It was the busiest day. I don't like being there.
Sure, Daphne could have helped me find my mom. When I was with her, the history
I just be fucking tired.
case of missing inhibitions.
That Friday's a killer, and then that Saturday's a fucking murderer. And the Sunday, just fucking sadistic.
Dad, I need a ride.
It's just fucking
Norville,
sadistic.
MIA, and my walking
That shit is crazy.
sorry, no time.
Cause like Friday we got all the fucking like the people that are like getting off for the weekend that are like, man, I want this shit. You know what I mean? I deserve this pizza, right? Then you have the fucking Saturday motherfuckers that are like, yeah, it's party time. You know what I'm saying? Me and my fam's here to fucking have a fucking family dinner or whatever the fuck. You might get that on Friday too, but a lot on Saturday and shit. But not like the family dinner, but more like the like party dinner. And then you got the fucking goddamn, you know what I mean? Like Saturday be that fucking party fucking. And then like we got the fucking Sunday Texas fucking blowout dinner. These niggas, that's why I'm like, come on, bro. Like Friday be like, Friday is like the weekend dinner, right? Maybe a date or whatever the fuck you might do on the weekend, right? On Friday. Then you got Saturday be like the game, right? The game, or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Some kind of party. And then you have motherfucking, damn, my fucking chocolate is completely melted too. I really wanted to eat some of this shit right now too. God damn it, that shit I gotta eat something. Should I just eat it though? Fuck it. Well, I'll see you on the next one. All right, peace.